discuss a few important issues that we've seen taking place in our community. The first thing we're going to touch on, though, right, in Texas, there's a sister. This is a young sister, 20-year-old sister in Texas. Her name is Zkira Kemp, right? Zkira Kemp. This is a young sister who is a college student. You know, her mother is trusting her to go off on her own to a degree and explore the college world. This sister went on like a vacation, a weekend vacation with a couple of her friends. To make a long story short, the mom ends up getting a phone call saying that her daughter is dead. Reports say that this young sister was with her friends. Something transpired. She was driving, got into a car accident, ends up killing herself. The individuals in the car did not die. These are all college students. They go to Prairie View A&M, I think it is, in Texas. So these young people, you know, probably doing what young people do. But the interesting part is the mother, she's not subtle with everything that's going on. Like the autopsy report, how she's receiving information isn't making sense to her. The height and weight of the person they say died in the crash isn't the height and weight of her daughter. So Sonia, we seen incidents like this before, where we have Black young women go off outside of their home and nefarious things happen. So as Black parents, right, what do you think we can do looking at this situation with this young sister? Because it could have been her driving. In this, they drinking, being young people, that happens. Or we dealing with this system. We can never take this. We can never let this system off the hook. She's her mother, the woman who had her, feels like there's some things going on incorrectly. So when you see things like this, how do we frame this as Black parents?
You know, one of the things that sticks out in the story to me is the fact that there's that thing that we talked about a little bit last week, and we've kind of had a theme about talking about when it comes to getting information from systems that are designed to control us, right? And so can I trust the information that's coming from someone who doesn't love my child like I love my child, right? And so that's part of the equation that we really and truly have to take seriously. The second part of it that strikes a chord to me, I'm the mother of 6 Black boys. And sometimes we get in this dynamic as Black parents and even in other communities as how we parent our boys versus how we parent our girls. But what I will say is that I can remember being young. I can remember going to parties where I probably shouldn't have drank a little bit of something. I never got caught up in the world of peer pressure along the line of drugs. I've never even smoked a joint before. And that's not to say that I'm shaming anyone who has, because I've been in the room with folks who have. I just remember my mother being very insistent about, I need to know who your friends are. So before a stranger comes and gets you to take you anywhere, I want to know who you're going to be with. Secondarily, if she could mitigate any additional harm to my life based on the relationships and people that I hung out with, she wanted to, if this person was repetitive coming over to the house or I was hanging out with, she wanted to know who their parents were. Now, flip ahead, my generation, I internalized that as my parents care about my safety and well-being. My young gentlemen that I've raised range in age from 28 to 10. My oldest, I can remember when Trayvon Martin was murdered. And we had to shift everything because we live in Elk Grove, which is a suburb of Sacramento. And we kind of let the reins off a little bit because my husband grew up in Sunnydale of San Francisco. I grew up in Bushrod of Oakland. So there was a different, you know, when you compare that to an Elk Grove, I'm like, we've given our children a sense of privilege to a certain degree, not to be in dangerous neighborhoods and situations. So with that being said, we have to like weigh the, you know, how serious of a danger could they be in? Now, the additional thing that goes into this piece is, have we given them the tools and the keys to go into the world away from us to college and things and be okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember when I went away to Atlanta to college, I'm a California girl, that my mother could not drive to me. She could not catch a flight to me because she couldn't afford to. But I knew that I needed to check in at least every 3 or 4 days by
Mm-hmm.
phone. We wrote letters back then. And so I feel for a mother who says, that's not my child. Or
That's not my
give
child.
me
Yeah.
the evidence that says that my child, where's the skid report from the vehicle if there was an accident.
Mm-hmm.
Give me the fire report and how it burst into flames if there was a fire that you ultimately took her life. Give
Mm-hmm.
me those details. And so that goes back again to my first point of who do we trust to be the disseminators of information, because that's key and crucial to our healing, to the trauma we've experienced in this country, when you can't trust people who are in positions of power
Mm-hmm.
to honor us and care for us the way that we do.
And so I was thinking about this, right? From an aspect of, if my young girl, because I don't have any girls, I have all
Right.
boys just like you, but I have granddaughters.
Right.
And I've noticed I have an affinity for these young women. It's almost like I feel like I have to protect them different. I don't
Yeah.
know if this is a good or a bad thing. So when we send our kids off to college, off to the world, when we're at home teaching them about life,
Right.
we have to be aware of the bias between
Yes.
woman and man, right? We can't just use a blanket way of teaching both of them. We have to kind of change it up a little bit, because
Absolutely.
both can be vulnerable, but it seems like our young women is extremely vulnerable. And I see so many people who, Sonia, struggle with their teenagers.
Yeah.
Like, kids become teenagers and they go crazy sometimes, right? But
Yeah.
what I noticed is what you put into them. Everybody listening to me,
Absolutely.
what you put into them when they 5, 6, 7, and 8, all of this matters. So
All of
it
it.
should create a sense of ease when they become a teenager, because I taught your ass what you need to know. And I be telling my wife sometimes he needs to go outside. He's 15. He's 15 now. We've been talking to him about this country,
Yeah.
about school, about his future. I want him to try it on for size. I want him to go outside and see what I was talking about. See if it's true to you or not.
Yeah.
But if it was a girl, would I do the same thing? You know what I mean?
I mean, I think that I was really, really blessed. My parents were like, my mom was insistent that we experience. She would often say, if you was a boy, you're gonna have the same freedoms that a boy would have.
Ah,
But she didn't have boys, so she that never became something that she had to deal with. However, she gave us the freedom to like make a lot of decisions based on what our needs were, right? And there be no judgment about. And so I have a granddaughter. She's 17. I have a granddaughter who's 21. And both of them, yeah, you want to say that a girl is more fragile. Yes, I 100% agree. But I also believe, and I think that this goes along with that daddy grandpa love, the male thing when it comes to their girls, of no, she's mine and I got to protect her for as long as possible. Whereas my mother, because she was the head of the household for so long, we leaned to her, and she raised us in a way that was like, if I was your age, this is what I would have wanted my parents to do for me. So I'm going to give you that as a gift. But the minute that I can't trust you, things will change.
There we go.
So I think that that's key to the conversation as well. Allow children an opportunity to be children. They are going to make mistakes. There are no perfect children. I tell people all the time, people, especially white folks, the lacking of melanated people in the world, they have said to my husband and I over the years, if we're out in public, if we're at a restaurant, oh, I could never bring my kids to a restaurant because they would just act. Your children are so well behaved. That ticks me off, because I'm like, shouldn't your child know how to sit in a seat and eat dinner? Like, where are you failing? Because I don't feel like I need. But then, you put that earnest back on. Are we doing too much controlling of our children? Because they aren't perfect beings and they do have emotions. And then do white parents give their children an opportunity to express their feelings more, and we don't? So
we have to look at that.
Adults who don't know how to express their feelings and they have pent up issues and rage and
See, this
depression.
is this is a systemic thing.
Very
That I think this is